This meeting of the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments Board to order at 10:03 p.m. on Friday, April 18th, and we'll start with the video of the convening statement.
Before we begin, translation services are available free of charge upon request. Antes de que comencemos, servicios de traducción de forma gratuita son disponibles bajo petición. Benton-Franklin Council of Governments was established by a voluntary association of local units of government in 1966 with the vision of providing a forum for improved communication, multi-jurisdictional decision-making, regional planning, and the capacity to serve as lead agency in providing multi-jurisdictional programs. The services provided to the member jurisdictions are outlined by interlocal agreement and can evolve with the needs of the region. BFCOG currently fulfills the following designations on behalf of the Benton-Franklin region: Regional Planning Commission, Conference of Governments, Regional Transportation Planning Organization, Metropolitan Planning Organization, Transportation Management Area, and Economic Development District. The BFCOG Board of Directors simultaneously serves as the governing body for the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments, Benton-Franklin Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Policy Board, Benton-Franklin Walla Walla Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and Benton-Franklin Economic Development District. We share this information at the beginning of each board meeting to provide context to the information shared and the actions taken during the meeting. Before we begin, and translation services are available free.
Okay, well, I want to thank Alex for doing that, because that was a wonderful way to do an introduction. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, Michelle, would you do roll, please?
Benton-Franklin Transit. Benton County.
I'm here.
City of Benton City. City of Connell. City of Kennewick.
Riddle Crawford, I'm here.
City of Pasco. City of Prosser.
Here, Maricela.
City of Richland.
Joanna Jones here.
City of West Richland.
Kate Moran, present.
Franklin County. Port of Benton.
Roy Keck here.
Port of Kennewick.
Here.
Port of Pasco.
Vicki Gordon, good morning.
Washtenaw South Central.
Brian White.
Okay.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Do we have any guests we need to introduce? I don't see any.
Oh, we're going to introduce him in just a second.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Alex, do you mind leading the pledge, please? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is approval of the agenda. Do we need to add or remove anything from the agenda, or move any items in a different order? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it. Roy Keck.
Thank you. It's been moved by Gretel, seconded by Roy, to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The agenda is approved. Our next agenda item is public comment. It's an opportunity for anyone to address this board on anything on the agenda or anything you'd like to make us aware of. We just ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to make a public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to presentations. And we have Marty Groom, Public Works Director from the City of Prosser, who'll do a presentation today. Welcome, Marty.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about our Wine Country Road and Old Inland Empire Highway roundabout. And the object that I wanted to do today is kind of tell a story because it's been interesting of how we came to this project. So next slide, please. So in 2022, the city decided to produce a city safety plan. And we did this with assistance from our consulting engineer, which is HLA Engineering and Land Surveying out of Yakima. And the purpose of the city safety program is to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes on city streets using engineering improvements and countermeasures. Our city safety plan aligns with other plans, Prosser's comprehensive plan, the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments Transition 2045, and our 6-year transportation improvement program. So what we did was through WSDOT, got crash history for a 5-year period. And what we did was the incident specific data was on severity, crash type, and frequency within the city limits. Then we put a committee together that consisted of council members, Prosser Memorial Health, Benton-Franklin Transit, West Benton Fire and Rescue, and community members to analyze the crash data for severity type and frequency, and potential countermeasures and safety projects consistent with Washington Target Zero. After that, we identified problem corridors and came up with a top 5 to 7 projects where there was known crash history that involved vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to pedestrian, or vehicle to bicyclist. So in the slide there, you'll see the number 1 crash history was the intersection of Wine Country Road and Old Inland Empire Highway. The number 2 was Wine Country Road and the Nunn Road intersection. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the safety plan project map that shows 4 of the top 4 crash history. The number 1, like was mentioned, is the Wine Country Road Old Inland Empire Highway, and number 2 was the Nunn Road project. Next slide, please. So now we got to the funding. So with the safety plan, there is more opportunities for additional safety project money. So in 2024, we applied for highway safety improvement funding, which is HSIP, and we applied for the top 2 projects identified in our city safety plan. And the top 2 were the intersections on Wine Country at both OIE and Nunn Road. Both of these crash history involve bicyclist and vehicle. And I'd like to note that the Lower Valley pathway follows Wine Country Road along the southwest side. So it goes from here in town and goes north and west out to the Benton County city limits. So the proposed design concept that we were kind of looking for was a roundabout there. And the reason being is it's a harsh skew angle that OIE intersects with Wine Country Road. It does not intersect at a 90 degrees. So people in left-hand turn lanes wanting to go northbound or southbound have blind spots, have to really look over their shoulder. But For the highway safety improvements, we had an alternative of some additional signage, some stop signs on the pathway, and also pavement markings on the pathway, because bicyclists tend not to stop at those intersections. They just want to ride straight through. So we put in for the funding. Both signage projects were awarded. And then state Olympia local programs with Olympia personnel wanted to have a project meeting on site to go over the projects. So they told us that we were going to be funded for the both safety projects, but they wanted something larger. So that's how we came to fruition with the roundabout project. They really liked it. We gave them an updated estimate, and then we were awarded funding. So that project at OIE and Wine Country Road is going to be a roundabout. And then our city maintenance personnel are going to do the signage project at the Nunn Road intersection with Wine Country Road. Okay, next slide. Okay, a few photos. This is on OIE looking west and OIE looking east. And you can see in the photo how nasty of an angle that is. It just makes it bad for people in the left-hand turn lanes and actually in the right-hand turn lanes, because they really have to look back over their shoulder. In the photo of the OIE looking west, we constructed the west end of OIE in 2023. That was 5 different funding sources. And looking east, OIE Phase 2 is a project on our 6-year transportation program. Okay, next slide. Okay, the project. I'd like to point out both OIE and Wine Country Road are freight and goods classified T3 freight routes. OIE to the west is a major collector. OIE to the east is a minor collector, and Wine Country Road is a major collector. In our freight and goods update in 2023, the average daily volume on OIE westbound is about 2,600. On Wine Country Road, the volume is about 14,200. So heavy traffic volume on OIE, on Wine Country Road. Annual truck tons on the west, going westbound on OIE, about 1.3 million annually. On Wine Country Road, it's about 3.3 million annually. So the project outline is listed there. We were awarded the $2,375,000. What's really interesting and was awesome for the city is that there's no local match. So we basically got 100% funded on this project. So the prospectus has been submitted to DOT for review and approval. It was submitted in late March. Once approved, we'll just start the design phase and the small little bit of right-of-way we need to obtain. So with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation.
Yeah,
Board
thanks
members, go
thanks
ahead.
for having me.
Did board members have any questions? Well, Marty, I think you're free. Thank you for that.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay on or go do something else, whatever you'd like to do. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I have another meeting here at 10:30, so thanks.
Great, glad to have you. All right, we'll go on to our next agenda item, the consent agenda item. There's the 5 items there. These are considered routine in nature, taken by 1 vote of the board. Any item can be removed by 2/3 vote, placed further on down the agenda table. Do we need to remove anything from this consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
This is Kate Moran. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Kate. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Maricela Sanchez.
Marcella, thank you for that second. All those in favor of approving the 5 items on the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. Thank you. We have no action items, so we'll go on to reports. And Aaron, how about the MPO, RTPO reports?
How about them? All right, we can dive into the first one, which is our monthly update on our Transportation Improvement Program obligation status. Between last month and this month, we have had one project obligate. I'm going to use air quotes on that. As you can see on this table, it states the month of October 2024 for the Richland South George Washington Way intersection improvements. Just as a quick reminder, the obligation status update is just a monthly check-in on how all the jurisdictions are doing on spending their money that has been programmed to them from the Council of Governments. So this, the Richland project was a unique instance where the funding has shifted off of our books and then to FHWA. It's being fully funded through a SS4A program. So that's why it shows October 2024. That's when it was initiated with the city of Richland, but it has officially come off of our books this past month. So just wanted to provide that clarity on that date on there. So that leaves roughly about 3.6 for us to meet our target. As I kind of hammered home last month, just making sure that all the jurisdictions are staying on top of spending their money. We did not meet our target last year, so if we do not meet our target this year, we will be sanctioned. And with that, that means somebody will have their funding taken away from a project. We do not want that, but we can avoid that if everybody obligates their funding like they're scheduled to and like they have been stating so. Every single TAC meeting, we are asking for monthly updates on this to make sure that we can find projects to obligate sooner than later. So if there is any sort of holdup for obligating your project, please communicate with us sooner than later so we can try to make sure funding does not leave the region.
Aaron, thank you. Is there any hints that or help that you can give the jurisdictions right now?
Yeah, and I'll say that kind of goes into our call for projects, but if you can communicate with us sooner than later, it allows us to try to find other ways to have funding filled. And that can be, as Marty was talking about, having a project on the transportation improvement program. So having things on your tip is good. That means it could be funded sooner than later. But as we can see, we don't have anything listed in 2026 other than a Franklin County project. That's why we're doing our call for projects right now, and we have a specific preservation program so that those projects can be expedited much sooner. So trying to avoid this in the future.
Thank you. Any questions of Aaron from anybody? All right, Aaron, move on.
All right. So next is the draft state fiscal year 2026 through 2027 Unified Planning Work Program. This slide is left blank on purpose because I'm going to be giving a quick presentation on the document that was within your packet, trying to make it very high level. And I will reiterate this at the very end. There is an informational webinar at the beginning of May if you would like more information about this, or you can attend our WashDOT UPWP meeting next week on Wednesday. So with that, I will dive right into this. So what is the purpose of the Unified Planning Work Program? This describes all the transportation planning efforts that the COG will be doing through a 2-year window. It's on a biennium. So this one is from 2025 through 2027. And there's budget, there is a budget provided for the work tasks highlighted within the document, and then also where consultant involvement will be noted. So that is the very broad overview of what the Unified Planning Work Program does. It states what we will do and then how much money we'll be spending doing it. Within that, this is a document that is required by the feds and the state. So here are some of the federal emphasis areas: tackling the climate crisis, equity and justice, 40 in planning, complete streets, public involvement, data and transportation planning, strategic highway network coordination, planning and environmental linkages, federal land management agency coordination. So these are emphasis areas that are from our federal partners, which is the Federal Transit Administration and the Federal Highway Administration. A lot of these aren't specifically called out within our unified planning work program. There might be different language that I'll say relates to one of these. For example, how are we tackling the climate crisis? We are doing the regional Tri-Cities climate approach. That's something that we are not necessarily doing, but we are facilitating. So that's how we're tackling the climate crisis, or how we are bringing in specific performance measures. And there's examples of all of these within the document. They're just not necessarily called out to the specific language of the federal emphasis area.
You want to just preemptively speak to the question of the emphasis areas?
Oh, yes. So the emphasis areas, these emphasis areas were developed under the last administration, the last presidential administration. They have not changed the federal emphasis areas. So until we were told to plan differently, we were planning under what guidance was given us. So this is what was given to us. All right, from the state, from the feds, we're going to the state level. So as we work with WashDOT, WashDOT has specific emphasis areas for us. Under the heading of administrative, we'll be helping WashDOT update the RTPO duties and then making public documents more accessible. This is something we've really been trying to do here at the Council of Governments, and I hope that you could see within the work program of it just being a budget document. It has a little more color, a little more fun in it. So trying to make our documents a little more lively. And then planning coordination, we'll be assisting jurisdictions with comprehensive plan updates, as they'll be doing that in 2026. Assisting WashDOT in multimodal planning, data, active transportation, public transportation, and freight planning activities that will be taking place over the next 2 years. We'll be updating our federal functional classification roads, and then also helping WashDOT with the transportation asset plan. All right, so going into our key accomplishments. So the key accomplishments in the UPWP are highlighted on page 9 through 11. There was a lot of them, and I've tried to just distill down some big ones here. I will touch on the ones on the screen, and then I'll call out a few other ones. So some of them are the internship to full-time program. This is a really big accomplishment for the COG, as planning agencies are struggling to find planners, and us as the Council of Governments, we have hired 2 from internship to full-time, and we've been asked multiple times, how did we do this? So very thankful for that.
You want to give away the secrets?
Hopefully Michelle and I will be presenting on that in September at AMPO. Increased engagement over 400%. We've been doing more public engagement. We've been doing more social media. So thank you to Lizzie and Lacey for leading that charge. We have completed 8 plans over the last 2 years and distributed over 5,500 bicycle maps in English and Spanish. We completed 2 call for projects. One will be this is within the state fiscal year, so we'll technically finish it next month. But for over $24 million within the region, we completed the traffic count program, which is the largest tube count program on the West Coast. And then we also partnered with WashDOT to do a regional system analysis to identify where the choke points and issues are within the region today. Some other things that need to be called out is our completion of the Safe Routes to School plan and the development of over 80 Safe Routes to School maps. So that's almost all of the schools within the region will have a specific Safe Routes to School map for them to helping kids get to and from school much safer. We updated our travel demand model to incorporate more regional freight movement, and that was incorporated into the congestion management process and that regional system analysis. I talked about the regional climate change approach. We're helping local jurisdictions come together for a much more cost-effective approach to it, rather than each one of them spending $720,000. They're coming together and spending that as a collective sum, so it's a very big discount. We assisted the city of Benton City in developing and publishing a survey on the climate change impacts, and we set the record for survey responses within a 6-week period. So congratulations to us and congratulations to Lizzie for leading that effort. Tanner developed a transportation improvement program workshop that assists local jurisdictions in navigating the TIP and the SAW software. If any of your staff have complained about the SAW software, it is very much warranted. And Brian, I think that's not a shot at WashDOT. I think you would agree with that as well. We have developed, or Alex has developed story maps for BFCG's core plans to improve accessibility. So rather than trying to read through an entire document, you can just scroll through slides and maps to understand the content of the plan. We're participating in WashDOT's technical committee for the Lower Snake River Dam Transportation Study. We've worked with state and regional local partners to monitor the region's air quality conformity status, and we've executed 2 air quality campaigns. And then in February of this year, we convened the elected leaders for the Road Ahead Regional Transportation Reimagined. So just how is our region going to look in 2075 and what big transportation projects are missing from that? So that is all that I will say has been accomplished over the last 2 years.
Well, Aaron, that's a lot. So congratulations to you and the whole team. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So within the UPWP, we break how we do things down into 3 big buckets. And the first bucket is 1.0 program administration. And you'll be able to see on the next 3 slides, on the right-hand side is our budget for each one of those. And then some logos that we'll be using within our ongoing efforts over the next 2 years. This is also part of our effort to try to make the documents much more accessible. Rather than having to read an entire thing, you'll be able to notice a logo of what we're doing. So some of those work tasks under 1.0 are administration, the Unified Plan and Work Program, and annual report. So that is what I'm presenting on here today. Public participation, which is like our public engagement plan and our outreach efforts. Title VI and environmental justice, and professional development. We have a budget of this of nearly just over $700,000 over a 2-year period. I'll say before, for anybody that is a big UPWP fan, you'll notice that the CPG is a new acronym that is on your screen. It used to be 2 buckets of money that were called FHWA, so Federal Highway Administration, and then FTA. WashDOT is now having us have those combined into one called the Consolidated Planning Grant. It is just a sum of those 2 buckets of money. Next is the regional transportation products, and I apologize for all the acronyms on your screen, but I will definitely walk through each one of those. So under that, some of the work tasks that we have are the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So that's the 2.1. 2.2 is our Human Services Transportation Plan. 2.3 is Transportation Demand Management. So that's trying to find ways to reduce the amount of vehicle miles traveled on the roadway. 2.4 is our Congestion Management Process. 2.5 is our Growth Management Act. So that's assisting jurisdictions in their comprehensive plan updates. 2.6 is Geographical Information Systems, developing maps, doing spatial data. 2.7 is the Transportation Improvement Program. So that's assisting each jurisdiction in their own TIP and then also submitting ours to the state. 2.8 is our Surface Transportation Block Grant and Transportation Alternative Programs Administration. For short, this is our call for projects and making sure that our funding is being obligated. 2.9 is representation in regional planning. 2.10 is performance measures. 2.11 is multimodal, which is bicycle, pedestrian, and transit planning. 2.12 air quality. And on the right-hand side, you can see that we have logos for some of the plans that will be developed for the next 2 years. And you can see the regional freight plan is one that didn't get specifically called out. That's being tied into our Metropolitan Transportation Plan work item. And this is where a bulk of our budget is, as it is a lot of our regional transportation products. All right. Last is our 3.0 travel demand model and data. Under this, we have our regional traffic count program, regional travel demand model, and then assisting local jurisdictions in travel demand modeling. I want to give a special shout out to the 3.3. I let all of our TAC members know this, and some take advantage of this more than others. We have a specific line item within our budget to do travel demand modeling for jurisdictions. So when a jurisdiction has a development coming in, rather than say, I just saw Gretel pop up, so I'll use Kennewick as the example, as rather than having this City of Kennewick contract out to a consultant to do the modeling for the development. They can ask us, hey, can you do this? Can you work with your consultant to do this modeling for us? We can do that. It is at no cost as it is part of our budget. So just want to touch on that again.
That's a nice benefit.
Yeah. And on the right-hand side, you can see our logos for the regional traffic count program and then the regional travel demand model. This line item or this work program has a lot of consultant involvement as we have consultants for the regional traffic count program and then same with the regional travel demand model. Last is just a quick overview. Here's the overall budget. The total budget for us is about just north of 3 million. And if you would like to participate in the more lengthy informational webinar, it will be on May 7th from 3 to 4, and it will be online via Teams. And if you have any questions, I can take those now.
Does any member of this board have any questions of Aaron? That's a great report, Aaron.
Thank you.
Any questions from anyone? Comments? Dead silence? All right, Aaron, thank you. You want to go on to general updates then?
Yeah, I have 2 items for a general update. Just letting everybody know we're in the thick of the call for projects right now. At our April TAC meeting, TAC members presented on their projects and then they have submitted their scoring sheets to staff. Staff is in the process of scoring the non-subjective portions of the applications. This is something new for this process. For example, is the project located on a CMP corridor? That's the congestion management process corridor, or what is the average daily traffic of that? After that is done, on the 22nd, staff will send the applications individually to each jurisdiction. So Kennewick will receive Kennewick's scored applications, West Richland will receive West Richland's, and then they will have an opportunity to challenge the scores that we have done if there is any discrepancy, just allowing them to be able to see the scores before everybody else. And then the scores will be posted and sent out in the TAC packet on April 24th. And then at the next board meeting, we will hopefully be approving the call for projects, funded projects. So that's something to look forward to next month.
So if someone wants to challenge their score, when do they have to submit it to you so that you can finish things up?
It will be within that 2-day period. So everything will be sent out the morning of the 22nd. They have until the end of the 23rd to get back to us.
Super clarification. Any questions of Aaron? Aaron, you did a good job. Thank you.
I got one more thing, and I also just want to thank everybody's staff in the call for projects. We did a big overhaul on the process this time, and everybody has been very accommodating and wanting to participate. So thank you very much to your TAC members. Last up is the regional traffic count program. This is also included within your board packet. And this is highlighting that Tanner Martin will be presenting at local jurisdictions over the next several months. On your screen and in your packet, you have the schedule. Tanner presented earlier this month at the city of Richland and will be presenting later this month at the city of Pasco. In May, he has West Richland and Benton City. June, he has Connell, and then to be determined is still Benton County, Franklin County, Kennewick, and Prosser.
All right, one last time. Any questions of Aaron?
Yeah, I have a question regarding sort of the history of traffic counts. Generally, this has been done to count the number of vehicles going through a particular area. Is there any way to measure the number of people traveling through an area so that it's not just counting the people who are driving?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So like you said, the 2 counts count the amount of vehicles that go over a location. In the past, the council of governments did HOV counts where they tried to go out and they would watch every car and they would use a clicker and count how many people are in a vehicle. At the April TAC meeting, I brought up this to all of the public works directors, and I will bring up to the board. If there is a data need, for example, trying to find a way to count how many people are coming through a specific location, please let us know at the COG. As your jurisdiction is looking for that, there's probably another jurisdiction within the region that's looking for it as well. And we can buy data at a region-wide scale, and it provides a 13.5% discount to everybody. So that is something we can definitely look into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Comments?
Charles has a hand up.
Charles? Thanks, Lisa.
Hey, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Just, I guess, one question about the call for projects and kind of the process and everything like that. Considering how the Good Roads Association does it, where once a project gets on their list, they see it through to the end of completion. Is that something that we've ever thought about? Is there anything in our bylaws or state statutes that prohibits that, to where, you know, perhaps we're, you know, save the time of going through this process every year, and, you know, and thus we can just focus on those projects that, you know, are presented on the list, and then once one's completed, it drops off and there's room for another one. I was just curious if that had ever been considered. Or
Yeah, thank you for your question. So I went back to my earlier report just to show this screen. So we can see that these projects say 25 and 26. So these projects were put on our list when we did our 2022 call for projects. So the projects that will be put onto awarded funds in this year will be for the years of 26, 27, 28, and 29. For that exact reason. So we don't have to do this every year. We'll be able to space out the next 3 years. I'll say to the Good Roads process, that is more, I would say, closely related to our regional transportation priorities. As we have to make sure that funds are being spent in a certain way. But yes, we're doing a process that doesn't have to be done every single year. This is done basically, I would say, every 3 years.
okay,
Aaron?
perfect. Appreciate it, Aaron.
As a lay person, the differentiation for me has to do with the sources of money. So each local jurisdiction, if they are funding projects with local funds, that is part of their project list at a local level versus what is on our list that's using state or federal funding. Is that kind of the differentiation there? Which is why on that list, we'll have projects that you may see on other lists or whatnot. It's tied to its particular source of funding and when those monies are going to be used.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Michelle. That helps. Anybody else have any questions or comments before we move on? All right. Aaron, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Thank you. You did a great job. That was good report. Michelle?
Okay, well, I'm gonna kick us off with our report on economic development and local government programs. We have had an unexpected staffing change. So as of April 7th, Zach Ratkai has moved on for other opportunities. Of course, we wish him the best, but the show must go on here at the COG. And so we've been making some adjustments for staffing. When we added the local government programs director role 2 years ago, we had about half of the staff that we have today available to support projects and planning. So in the short term, we are not seeking to immediately refill that position. There's also several outstanding questions about whether we're going to receive the renewed brownfield grant or not. We are reapplying for our 3-year funding through EDA for our economic development program and production of its eds. There's no reason for us to believe that we won't continue to receive that funding, but lots of people have thought that in the last 6 months. So of course we want to just make sure that everything is good there as well. And then also our ARPA funding that we've had the benefit of the last couple of years from the counties runs out at the end of 2025 as well. So this is just going to give us some additional time to make sure and verify our income to staffing level at the moment. So in the meantime, Kristen Eby, our grant navigator, is going to continue in her current capacity. She's also going to provide some assistance to me in the administration and reporting for the EDA planning grant and our ARPA program, both of which happen semi-annually. So that's not a huge time lift for Kristen.
Daisy, our senior regional planner, as you all know, she has just completed or is at the tail end of completing our safe routes to school and safety action plan. So she had a gap. She is stepping in to ensure that we finish our comprehensive economic development strategy plan, which is due June 30th. So she is taking on the lead to get that plan over the finish line for us. Kristen and I are providing some support, making sure that all of your jurisdictions' plans are reflected in the SEDS, because that is its number one priority, is to provide you that regional justification for the importance of your development and infrastructure plan. So we're gathering that to make sure that we get all of those included in the new SEDS. Just as a reminder, we update the SEDS we do a completely new SEDS once every 5 years. And then annually for the next 4 years, they get a minor tweak. So this is our 5-year big plan at the moment. So Elizabeth Garcia, our regional planner, she is going to take over as the lead for our brownfields program. So over the last year or so, as we've brought Daisy and Lizzie on as full-time planners, that allowed us to start grouping our planning work in focus areas. And Lizzie's focus area is environmental and community planning, which the brownfields program fits with very nicely and takes that program off of my plate. So Lizzie is taking on the lead work for that. I in turn am picking up the coordination of the Economic Development Advisory Committee and the Congressional Connections meeting. So basically our government affairs, community outreach piece of our economic development work. So for the moment, everything is handled and covered, and we will stay the course until we know more and can make some long-term decisions.
Any questions of Michelle so far? All right.
Okay, so of course I gave you the update on the SEDS. Nothing more to add for that one. And at this moment, I'm going to turn things over to Kristen to give the update on funding opportunities and grant navigation.
Thank you.
Kristen.
Good morning, everybody. So on Monday, we are hosting a grant workshop. We sent out registration to all the jurisdictions and people in the community. We have 25 people coming. So we filled the registration. It's from 10 to 4, and they will be focusing on the federal funding, grant writing, and giving us some tips on kind of how to apply for those grants since they're a little fewer now. They said though they are funding different grants, so this will be a really good opportunity for people to kind of learn a little bit more about some of our federal funding options, and they work really closely with Washington State as well. So some of that federal money that comes into our state, they're going to help us with that. In addition to that, we have sent out several grants, one of them being the hometown grant. Benton City has submitted their application with our help with a letter of support. And their project is to fund a city park that's adjacent to the Union Pacific bridge that they're rehabbing. So this will help them with that trails plan and getting that completed. So we're hoping really well they submitted that and they'll be able to get funding. Additionally, we worked on the congressional directed spending, Port of Benton, excuse me. We sent support letters for the senators, Senator Cantwell Anbury, and also to Congressman Newhouse for their White Bluffs Rail project. And then also for the city of Pasco, we sent letters to them on their Lewis Street underpass demo. Over the last month, we've had several funding options that have been sent out. There were 2 from the USDA, 2 from WashDOT, 2 from Washington Department of Commerce, 2 from EPA, and 1 from EDA. So if you guys haven't received these and you would like to have some information, give me a call or I can follow up with you after this.
Kristen, can people still register for that, or
it's actually full, but there are 2 other ones. There's one in Walla Walla and Colfax, so I can find out what their registration level is. But the information I receive, if anyone would like that, I'd be happy to send that out as well.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is Commissioner Clint Didier.
Welcome.
I would also, well, I've been on the meeting. I would also like to include Congressman Baumgartner. He represents a good portion of Franklin County. He is not City of Pasco, but a good portion of Franklin County. So I'd like to include him on that chain of emails to congressmen and senators.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that. I will reach out to them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from anyone else?
I was just going to add for the commissioner that we have made connection with Congressman Baumgartner's office to incorporate them into our congressional connection meetings as well. So we have started to build that relationship.
And they do have an eastern, or I guess western part of their district representative. So he will be our connection for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions, comments? Okay, Michelle, move on to your report.
All right, well, now I'll give you my report for the COG. So of course, we've mentioned the staffing changes and the impacts. As I mentioned, no immediate plan to refill that position while we figure things out. As I mentioned in my report, there will be some impact to my time in the short term, but with shifts of other responsibilities like passing brownfields over to Lizzie, we have just kind of shuffled all of our puzzle pieces, so it's not something that I'm concerned about at this moment. We have our new website under development with Civic Plus, and it should go live at the end of May. So Lacey and I begin some training activities in the next couple of weeks, and they're beginning to migrate information. So we're excited to see how that's going to develop, and we hope it'll provide a much better experience for people trying to access information about the COG. For financial activities, our annual financial report is in progress and is due May 30th. Alexis and I continue to work through that and just make sure that we have everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed and all of the dollar signs and decimal points in the right places before we upload all of those schedules. Our indirect cost rate plan, we renegotiate our indirect cost rate annually with the Department of Interior. Again, the Department of Interior is our cognizant federal agency because they handle the indirect cost program for the Economic Development Administration. And when you look at the balance of our federal program dollars, because of our loan program, EDA still has more money flowing through the COG than our transportation program. So EDA is our primary when it comes to indirect. We have a funny indirect cost rate that is called a fixed carry forward rate, which means they analyze our previous audit numbers to see exactly what we spent and what our indirect return would have been. They combine that with a projection of what it should be going forward, and then they true it up or down based on whether we over or under collected from the last year. So we're constantly adjusting that rate year over year. However, our 2025 rate is still waiting to be negotiated because of staffing changes at the Department of Interior. Our plan is still 19th in the queue for review. So we might, before the end of 2025, get a new indirect cost rate plan in order to adjust that and start again. So just FYI, that's one of the joys we have in administrating our federal programs. Community engagement, Lizzie and Lacey have been mentioned previously for all the work they've been doing to just improve social awareness of the COG and not only us, but our member jurisdictions and those of you that are affiliated. So you see on our screen recently, they have moved on from highlighting our COG staff to highlighting our TAC and board members. So last week it was Gretel Crawford and John Cowling from the city of Kennewick. So if you're not following our social media, please do so. You may see yourself. We had a table at the Tri-City Regional annual meeting and awards luncheon, and had staff go and attend that event this month as well. TRIDEC and the COG and our Speaking with One Voice outer loop study, just as an update, TRIDEC did submit a $1.2 million proviso request via Senator King. It doesn't appear that request would make it into this year's budget, which we knew was probably a stretch for this year. We're going to continue to work on those efforts, but aside from the funding portion, putting together a promotion strategy to help us just gather momentum for not only the study, but those long-range projects and the importance for the region will be a next activity there. The Benton County Public Facilities District, their next meeting is coming up on April 29th here at the COG. The Tri-City Regional Public Facilities District had their annual only meeting for 2025 on April 9th. They did approve bylaw amendments to streamline administration and officer elections. Officer terms are now 2 years. The MOU that our board approved at last month's meeting has been approved by the City of Kennewick, is on the City of Pasco's agenda for Monday's council meeting. I've not yet heard when it will be on the agenda for City of Richland, but those two actions, we've been talking about fixing this for several years now. That finally paves the way to just make administration of that PFD much simpler and less expensive for everyone. The Regional Future 2075, we've continued some work on that. I met with several of the city managers, county administrators, mayors at their informal monthly meeting to talk about timing of the event, how much time could be reasonably allotted, when would be the best time to schedule. And through those discussions, we narrowed it down to the first 2 weeks of November, followed by the end of January or early February as best timing. The consensus was to do a Wednesday night dinner full day Thursday or a Thursday night dinner full day Friday as far as days of the week. A survey has been sent out to the jurisdictions to now gather staff level information via doodle poll to see what day or dates would work the best. So I'm gathering that information now. So if you have not seen that from your manager, administrator, mayor, please ask about it or let me know. I'll make sure you get the link as well. Bonus points for City of Kennewick, who all of their invited staff plus 2 elected officials all took the survey. So go Kennewick for being on the ball there.
Good job, Gretel. Carry that big stick.
Erin's been behind the scenes, making sure everybody gets their stuff done. We have set planning dates between Dr. Barber at College of Eastern Idaho and Erin and I to begin working on that agenda and what it would look like. So, so far, the big trick is just going to be, can we get commitments on a date? Because if we can get commitments on a date, I'm assuming we also have commitment to move forward with this activity. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Brownfields program, we already talked about that. Lizzie is going to be taking that over. Next step for us is preparing an RFP for a new Brownfields grant and implementation services. Our current contract expires in September. So we want to get that in place so that we're prepared. If we receive a new EPA grant, if we don't receive a new EPA grant, that still tees us up to have some assistance to support those kinds of activities in the future. Our current EPA Brownfields grant, we're just coming towards the finish line for Kennewick's downtown area-wide plan. That's our last project under the original grant program. If you'll recall, we received a 1-year extension in order to just finish those programs up. And we should hear sometime in April or May whether our grant for the new EPA Brownfields was successful. So we're still waiting to hear. Our EDA partnership planning grant, again, that's the funding that we use to produce the comprehensive economic development strategy and also shepherd any regional activity that falls underneath that plan. They announced to us this week that changes are coming in July, which will simplify our administration. I'm pretty excited about that. The first is that we will be able to request quarterly advances of that grant funding. So in the past, we've had to submit reimbursements on a quarterly basis. Now we'll be able to just take those annual funds, break it up into 4 equal quarterly installments that we can review, we can draw down once a quarter, and then that'll get balanced up at the end of the year with our annual financial report. So that will help cash flow and staff time. They are also shifting right now. We do 2 semi-annual financial reports, 2 semi-annual performance reports, and then our once a year SEDS update report. All of that is being combined beginning in July. So with the next fiscal year, well, we will do a once a year SEDS update, performance report, and annual financial report. So again, a huge simplification in the amount of time it'll take us to administer that program. So I am excited for it. Especially for those of you who've been around the COG for a while, when I have our program officer call me and tell me, hey, for the programs that are in good standing, and that's you guys, that was not always the case for us. So I love being referred to as being in good standing. Okay, and that's it for me.
Michelle, thank you. Any questions of Michelle? And I could echo and expound on the fact that, this is a lot better situation at the COG than it's been in the past. And I'm sure Vicki would agree with me, especially on the financial pictures. I think there's a lot better control, and I think we're in pretty good shape. So Michelle, thank you and the team for all you're doing and what you've done. It's great. All right, is there any other business that needs to come before this board at this meeting? I'd just like to bring up something. If you notice at the beginning of the meeting, we had to stall for a while until we had enough people sign in for a quorum. So we're going to ask if people could at least sign in 5 minutes before the beginning of the meeting. So when the meeting starts, we can start on time, have a quorum, and we don't have to spend everybody's time just wasting away while we wait for people to sign in. So please try to sign in 5 minutes before the start of the meeting. So that means 9:55 instead of 10:05. All right. Director updates. Instead of going around the room, we'll just ask if anybody has anything they'd like to comment on. Let us know about from your jurisdiction. Would anybody like to comment? Vicki, how about the Port of Pasco receiving an award last week, or this week, I guess?
Yes, from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We got the Big Business Award this week, and are just very thankful for that. We also last week signed a PSA with Cold Summit on 30 acres at the Ryman Center north of town for $4.5 million. And our airport is getting bids on the latest updates for baggage claim and some new airline check-in desks, and for 3 more airplane what do you call them?
Terminals?
No, where you get on the airplane.
The gates.
Yes, gates. So those are in progress, and the bids have been coming in under budget and under the estimate. So we're looking forward to getting that going.
Great, Vicki, thank you. Any other jurisdictions have anything to comment on or report on? All right. Is there anything else that we need to talk about?
Just a request for everybody. Our April meeting was kind of a light agenda, but May has a lot of action items. So please check your calendar. If for any reason it looks like you are not going to be available for the May meeting, let us know sooner rather than later so that we can reschedule to make sure we can handle those items.
And again, sign in 5 minutes before the start of the meeting. Great, thank you. Well, then our next meeting is Friday, May 16th, and we are adjourned at 10:03 a.m. Thank you all for attending.